If nobody calls in, I said, if you call in and tell me, hey, you're stuck on one thing, I'll move forward. But so let's talk about killings that are happening around the world, around the United States, at so many different levels of age between the people doing it, involved in it. Sure, there's accidents. Drunk drivers having an accident in their bus and killing a bunch of children. We can go into the hardcore parts of that. So let's talk about children, starting between maybe 12 and 14. What programs are they locked into? Are they prejudiced? Of course they are. What are their prejudices? It all depends on their parents. Oh, my parents aren't prejudiced. Did they ever say a specific sentence where it is a prejudiced sentence? Well, they don't mean it. Oh, no, they don't? We say things because we mean it. Otherwise, we'd be talking about Papa, and it wouldn't mean anything. We talk about what we think. How real or not, well, we don't know what's real or not, most people. So just for them to say, well, God's real, Jesus is real, Moses is real, Batman's real, they don't know. They're going along with the program. Now, the problem with all this, these children get into groups, and people get into groups for one reason. Religions were created for one reason. Well, it's a combination of little reasons that go together. Loneliness, protection. People join a motorcycle gang to stay protected. People join a religion to be part of something. It's not to become more spiritual. But I think they assume they'll become more religious or more spiritual because they're a part of a group. There's 2,000 groups of religions. Do you think any one of them knows God better than any other one? Maybe two. 2 out of 1,000. 2 out of 2,000 is pretty bad. All religions have their own idea of a God. And then you add that to man's idea of what man allows, of whatever the program is, into his own consciousness. Say you're a religious person, whatever religion you're in, and they say God's this, this, and this. Well, I don't think that, but I think that. So you take parts of that, and then you create your own God within your own reality. And everybody lives there right now. Nobody wants to know the true God. And I'll tell you this. God is not what people want it to be. But people think it has to be what they want it to be. Well, as long as they don't have to experience it, that's why most people are afraid of dying. I mean, even the idea that they're going to have to stand in front of God. God's not going to be there waiting for you to die and say, hey, guy, we've got to do this with you. You think God really cares about your little butt? I doubt it. Do you think God cares what you eat, the job you do? Not God itself. It's got billions and billions of realities to work with and keep them all in a functional way. And even at that, in the lower realm, which is the astral and the physical, it's invading each other. The astral plane is invading this planet because of people from this planet, not because of God. I'm not going to go into detail on that. Sergeant 18, the person that I do shows with, I did for 9 months, and we did all the UFO stuff together. It's great to talk about that. His show is Stranger Universe. Tune into it. He's got 40 videos he put up in the past couple weeks. Check it out. But he's getting into that stuff. But I'm dealing with the spiritual side of reality, not the physical side, not really. But how we get to where we are and what's happening to the human race because of that. All right. We're very similar in the idea of how we should dress and jobs we should take and become and do. But usually, most people are forced into one of them. 2 reasons. Their parents make them, or it's the only job they can get. So the idea of getting... I got this weird thing popping up on my computer again. Every time I do this show, I'm going to have to figure out where it's coming from and stop it. So we really think we're in this place together. We're not. We're separate. We don't work together. And it would be nice if we did. But we're not. So let's. Like I said, I want to try to get through this as fast as I can. Okay, the job industry, women are still separate than men are. I know in the phone company, women got paid a third less than we did. I'm not saying the ones that actually worked outside with me, but the whole company itself, all the women that worked inside, got paid a lot less than we did. You know, it's a saying, what job deserves more money? What schooling did you go to? I mean, just to show you how a hypocrite society. The UPS drive around and drop little boxes off every day. And they always got paid more than the phone company. And we went out there, had to put cable lines up to the house, to the pole, run lines through the house, run the jacks. We did lots of work. And they were always making more money than us. And then compare that to a football player or whatever. The system is so screwed up. But they're judging people's abilities of what? To entertain people. It's all about entertaining people. And that's what I think the people in the whole lecture world, those speakers, if they feel they can entertain you, they feel good and they feel like they can make all the money they want, which they can. Because if you leave smiling, you're happy. If you leave crying, you might not want to send me any money. I told you the truth and you didn't want to hear it. Again, that word feeling comes into everything. And then the other word, which I didn't even mention, money. That money changes everything, which it does. So we're in a situation where women are still prejudiced. People are prejudiced against women. All men are, at some level. And that's not going to change easily. Whether it can or not in this moment in time, I don't know. It hasn't changed in 20,000 years. Why should it change in the next 100? So, the problem is, do women and men worship the same God? You know, even at that, we can really probably debate it because men, I think, have a much limited idea of what God is or care to understand God, where women give it much more attention and more things it wants it to be. You could say that's good or bad, but it's not right and it's not true. Nobody gives God what it deserves. And even in the Bible, when Jesus said, give to this world what it deserves, but give to God what it deserves. Do people know what God deserves? Please call in right now. Tell me you know. Call somebody up. Ask them what God deserves. What do you think God deserves? Your ignorance, your twisted ideas, your mental attitude, understanding, the things we create. Do we create anything good? Well, now, if somebody would ask me, am I prejudiced? I'll say I'm prejudiced against the lies, and I'm prejudiced against the false truth. Which is just about everything. And then when I talk, I guess you can hear that. But when we talk about women and the abuse that they go through, and they have the same God as men do, really. Religions have the same God? No, they don't. If they all followed the same God, it would be the same God, but they don't. If they had the same teachings, it would be the same God. But the teachings of all religions are so different. Praying, doing prostrations, whatever it is. It's all different. I mean, in the Catholic Church, you get on your knees and pray. In the Protestant Church, you don't. You sit or you stand. So, I mean, we have this little ups and downs between religions and what you do, how you have to respect it. They're prejudiced against each other, even. The Catholics and Protestants, they supposedly follow the same God. But they had more fights between the two of them than all the other religions together. The Catholics keep Jesus on the cross. They always want to think about him taking away their sins. The Protestants keep Jesus off the cross because he forgave us for our sins in Bible terms, which is a bunch of stories anyway, not real. But just the idea that they believe, and there's 2.4 billion people that are Christians, so I'm talking to a large number of people on this planet. I'm not talking to the people in the UFO world, the people in the New Age world, because that's such a small, tiny little number. When you hear Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle talking, how many people are they talking to? Even if you gave them 50 million, you'd be lucky. And so what? It's not 1 billion, is it? We have to break the chains. I'm having my partner do a song, and it has to do with break the chains, and we need to. We need to be free, but not with the word freedom that man has perceived that we can do anything we want. Free to do the things that are right. There's a big difference. And if you don't know what's right, how do you do that? Well, if it hurts somebody else, it's usually wrong. If it helps somebody else, it's usually right. You don't hurt yourself doing it, hopefully not. People want to know that they're important. So let's get rid of God and make us God. All these things are fitting together for reasons. And until man's ready to start looking at them, they're not going to understand it. If they tell themselves, oh, that's not real, that's not important, and live in la-la land like some speakers, some of the big greatest speakers out there. I mentioned it the other day that I got to be on talking to Barbara Max Hubbard. And she's a futurist, meaning dreamland of the future. So what do we want to talk about? To make believe past, to make believe present, or to make believe future? How about the real present? Whether you understand the past or the future, that's a little bit up in the air. You don't have to. As long as you stay aware of what's happening in the moment. You say you have to live in the moment. Well, you have to live in the moment is right. But they brainwash you to say, well, cycles will always happen over and over again. Well, we went through that cycle. We're going to go through it again. Well, The Time Machine, which is a good movie, this guy's in the time machine going through time, and he's looking at the storefront. And the dummy keeps changing clothes as he go back in time. So it's just amazing, the clothes that goes on and off the dummy. And it goes back to the original clothes and comes back. But, you know, certain things, we do a cycle. Will we ever give up living in a house or a building? I mean, when we're supposedly people accept the idea that we're cavemen living in caves or on the trees or whatever. Do you think we should go back to that? If the world's destroyed, you will. So, be real. And that's my motto, be real. Be real to yourself. And be real to your truth. Alright. Do God that you worship, understand and know you. Just ask yourself that. Well, God knows me pretty good. Really? Why? Because you think so? What do you do that, or what happens that makes you think that God really understands why you're doing what you're doing? Now, why I'm putting that in there, so many people think, say, and believe God needs people to do its work. You don't compare that to Jesus. We'll do that later.